All right, we are going to talk about our project Lines in Motion. So basically, lines in motion is all about how do you make an object look like it's moving. So if we start way back in the history of motion lines, you're going to look at comic books. They have things called movement lines, action lines, speed lines, zip ribbons, which I think is probably the best name for it. These are lines that come out from an object that make it look like it is going somewhere. If we look at the work of Carmine Infantino, I'm 99% sure I said that correctly. Oh, his pictures didn't come up. Wow, that's so sad. Okay, you can see he was a comic book illustrator, and you can see especially in his work here off the Flash, even though I don't know why, but the picture's not showing up very well, he has these motion lines coming off, literally blurring off the character to make him look like he is running. Here we have a motion line for the bats, or for this like club thing, so you can see how it would hit both Robin and Batman to make them bend back in that position. It's not just used in comic book art, although it is used in comic book art. Artists such as Vasily Kandinsky also used movement and motion lines in their artwork. So these things like here, you can see literally, like this reminds me a whole lot of that bat swing, that club swing from the other picture. All of these different lines have a sense of movement, and they're pointing you and telling you your eye to look in a bunch of different directions. You guys are going to be making an artwork that looks a little something like this. So you are going to have a silhouette of a shape, some object that moves, and you're going to have a bunch of complex lines coming out from behind it showing the movement of that line. Now we're going to talk about complex lines, so don't freak out if you're like, I don't know what that is. It's okay. We're going to go over it. This one here is just another example. This time it's a bird with these lines coming out from behind it. This one we have that same sort of bird, but different kind of lines. We've got butterflies, those move. Now the first one here was a star. Well, that works, because like stars, those shooting stars, they move. Birds, they move. Butterflies, they move. Does it have to always be an animal? No, of course not. Sometimes footballs move. Sometimes zombies move, sometimes turtles and cars and rocket ships and witches move and trains move. The important thing is that you need to pick something that you can recognize when you're just looking at the silhouette. So if you have an outline of a picture and you're not sure what it is, and you ask someone in class, like, hey, what do you think of my drawing? And they're like, I don't know, it looks like a blob. Then you need to rethink what your object is. Once you have your object that's going to move, we need to brainstorm some of our complex lines. So I'm going to talk about complex lines again in another video, so here's just a brief little overview. You will take a scrap piece of paper and start drawing out these different types of lines. You can name them different things. You can base them off a lot of different references, but here is just a quick example of some complex lines. Once you've done that, you are going to actually cut out your design and color, or draw the lines and then color the background so that you have your lovely final motion, lines in motion project. Okay, we're going to pause at this stage and you're going to start working on the design part, the practice part. There's like the other video that shows you more about complex lines. You're going to go and do that part of it. And then we'll come back to this video once you have your plan for what you want your lines to look like and what you want your objects to look like. So you can go ahead and pause this video now, come back to it later. Is it later now? Yay! Okay, great. We're going to move on. Your first step is to take that shape that you want and to draw it on your black sheet of paper. You should use your Chromebook to look up what the thing looks like. I want you to really be looking at a reference so you're not just being like, I know exactly what an orangutan looks like. It's not going to come out so well, friend. Just FYI, you really need to look at a picture, especially for something as complex as an orangutan. Once you have your shape, you're going to cut it out with your scissors. And then we got to figure out where on your piece of paper do you want to glue this. You want it to be trying to touch part of the edge of your paper. You don't want to stick it like off in the middle here. That's not going to look so good. You want it to actually touch the edge. Like I said on this slide right here. Then you're going to glue on the back of this. Now, we're not going to use liquid glue because that's messy. We're actually just going to use glue stick. So you will glue the back of your shape and then you will stick it on your piece of paper. Once you have that on, you can start by making some pencil lines of what your complex lines are going to look like. And when you are satisfied with all of your lines, there should be at least 4 to 5 lines. You are then going to go over those with a Sharpie marker so that they stand out nice and black like the silhouette of our shape. And then at that point, you can go through and add any embellishments or designs that you want. So you can change this one so it goes from a thick to a thin. You can add some little fringe over here, some little dots and things, a little veins. Make it your own. Make it as complex as you want, as detailed as you want, and finish putting those in black and white. The very last step that you may not get to today, because it's a lot of steps to put this all together, is going to be to add some color. So you're going to use some colored pencil, not around the whole thing, but you want to kind of color around your lines to, again, embellish those, make them stand out. You can color, kind of fill in spaces in between things. You want to give some contrast and detail and color and kind of pizzazz and punch to your artwork. And so those are all the steps. You can work through them at your pace and make sure to ask for help if you need it. Good luck!